So, hello and welcome to another Peace Project interview. And today I am joined by fellow Tunbridge Wells resident, Craig Forster. Hello, Craig.
Hey, Becky, how are you doing?
I'm well, and you?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Excellent. So you and I met just over a couple of years ago now, through the Association of Coaching Group. There's a very good group that meets in Tunbridge Wells. You came along to a couple of those and we connected, and then I'm not really sure what happened. I think you were in your very curious stage, if I remember correctly. You were exploring, you've done a bit of NLP training, neuro-linguistic coaching, is that correct?
Yeah, I think when I came, I'm a certified life coach, advanced master NLP practitioner at that stage. That was what I was doing. I've sort of gone on since then, but that was then, yeah.
So we connected then, and then I think, did you come and have a Reiki treatment? I can't remember.
Yes.
You did. Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, you gave me. I think I'm open to everything. You know, massage, yoga. Do a bit of yoga. I love massages. You know, anything like that, and meditation and stuff we'll talk about. But never Reiki. Oh, what's the one on your feet? Reflexology. Had an experience of all of those, but Reiki, no. I thought, well, there no hands on, and you offered me a free go, and I thought, come along that way. Yeah, that was good.
And then we got talking, and you were talking a little bit about, so at that point in time you're still working in the city, am I correct?
Yeah, I've had a career in IT sales. That was up in London, and you know, in the last job I had in corporate was a management role, director of consulting services in an IT firm. So yeah, the commute to London, been doing a lot of that and things over the years. But it's, yeah, sales, corporate, London.
And then, so obviously you'd already started to transition into what you are now, which is a coach, and you teach meditation. But can you give us a little bit of the backstory from like where you were to where you've got now? Because I've obviously seen the last 2 years, and I've seen a huge transformation in you. But do you want to tell everyone a little bit about like where you started and what drove you to go down this path in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So I've reflected on this because I wondered, well, where did it start for myself? You know, what led me here? So it's interesting to go back to that. And I think that the touch paper was lit for my interest in what makes us tick as human beings, and why we do what we do, and why life seems to us the way it does. Way back, actually way back when I was at university. Before that, it's probably just worth mentioning an experience in life when I was about, I think I was 16, and I think I was a bit of a worrier as a kid, and a bit of a hypochondriac, I think. And I thought I was dying at one point. Believe it or not, I thought there's something wrong with me. And I remember my mum took me to the doctors, and he said, he checked me over and did all that, and said, he looked at me and said, I remember he had a bright red nose, actually. He said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Go home and have a glass of wine. And I thought, that's a bit weird. There's nothing wrong with me. And he said, to go home and have a glass of wine. I don't think I went home and had a glass of wine, but it was, that was the first point in my life I thought, but I think there is something wrong with me. The operative word being think, now I realize. But it's that was a moment. Anyway, carried on, did my A-levels, went to university, and at university I got a reputation quite quickly amongst some of my friends as doing angst, you know, just having been a bit anxious now and again, a bit worried. I mean, I had a great time at university, and but you know, that was always kind of a bit in the background. The fact that people noticed it and I didn't really was saying something. And in the finals at university, I got very stressed in my finals, and I had palpitations almost. I remember that, but I got a great degree and had a great time at uni. It was a good experience. But I think that was when I began to think, well, you know, stress goes hand in hand with success. That began. And I started out in my engineering job, because I was an electronic engineer, quickly decided I didn't really like that after 4 years at university and stuff. But and I moved into the world of sales actually, and you think it was a bit strange if you've got stress, why go into a sales job? But also one of the things at university is worth noting is that amongst all the electronic engineering, there was a module on psychology, amongst other things. And I remember being absolutely fascinated by that, even though it wasn't really why I was there, about psychology. We talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the Hawthorne experiments and Pavlov's dogs. And I really found it fascinating right back then, a long time ago. So why we do what we do and how humans behave. So there's always was in the back of my mind. Anyway, I got myself into a sales career, and then I had a 30-year career in high value IT sales, which was great, and I did pretty well. But certainly in that experience along the way, there were some high points for me of experiencing stress. I mean, it's big targets, intense negotiations, and you're back to scratch every year, and all the rest of it. And I enjoyed it. I had a good time and did pretty well. And again, I think it continued to be that the association that success goes hand in hand with stress. It just kind of goes with the territory. And that world of sales can be known to be a stressful environment. But I mean, I wasn't continually stressed. It just had its moments. And I think, the nature of my way of thinking was always to be doing a lot of thinking about it, basically. So, and I was always interested in what makes people tick, because in that job, you had to understand what makes humans tick if you're going to build relationships and get to know clients and sell, and lots of training courses on relationships and different personality types and knowing your own personality types. It continued my interest in that. And in the background, my personal development mountain was building, and I was reading a lot outside of the work, just because of being interested in it. And then I was between jobs. I took voluntary redundancy actually from a particular job I was in, and I thought, you know what, if I'm serious about this, I'm going to get properly trained in this rather than like read about it. So that's when I first went and did a life skills course with Phil Parker, amazing coach in London, and then I thought I was just going to do a weekend, and then I thought, wow, this is really amazing, finding out how we tick, and then I studied the full diploma in life coaching and NLP, and then I did masters and advanced and all the rest of it. So that's really where it got kind of serious in terms of really finding that I could help people with this stuff, not just help myself. It was about finding out what made me tick, and then realizing, whoa, that understanding could help me to help others where maybe they want to achieve things or are stuck and things like that. So, and I've taken that on further, which I can fill you in on if you want, but because there's stuff to share. But that was where it started, really, a journey right back. Little did I know that far back in my past.
And then when we met, I think at that point in time, you had someone in your life that was experiencing quite a lot of anxiety. So that was kind of like forefront in your mind. And I was just about to run a 6-week meditation course back in the day when we could be in a room together.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I think you'd benefit from this course. I think it'd be good. And so you came along.
Yeah.
You did the 6-week course, and what did you get from that course? Because for someone that's listening to this, that maybe totally relates to your anxiety journey, what did you learn on that course? Because you obviously then went on to become a teacher of that. So what is it you learned from it?
Well, there were a couple of things going on in parallel. So I'm just trying to think. I mean, I'd listened to meditation tapes and CDs, show me later, but recordings and stuff like that, and found it was quite useful if you've got a kind of busy mind to give you something to do to experience more peace and calm. But when I found out that you were teaching the course, I thought, yeah, let's go again. Let's learn this properly. And I really enjoyed it, and it gave me. It wasn't just about learning how to meditate, actually, as you know, because you're teaching it. It was a lot of understanding about how the mind works as well, and which was fascinating. So that appealed to me too, that quest for understanding, but also learning a bit about how to do the meditation. And gradually over time, I would build that into my daily routine. And I remember thinking, first of all, like even just trying to close your eyes and get still for like 5 minutes was a massive challenge. But now I know that, like, if I hang out in that for 20 minutes, I want to carry on, because it's quite nice. But I mean, so I got a lot out of that. And then when I can't remember the timing of all of this, but in parallel with that, I was also training in with Jamie Smart, and to become a clarity coach practitioner. And I found it very compatible with that, because I had a big realization through that training, and combined with the meditation training, quite a shift for me in understanding really who we really are, which is quite a deep one, and where our experience comes from, what is creating our experience. And this understanding was like a transformational understanding for me, and particularly to understand that we're living in the feeling of our thoughts. I mean, that was, to put it simply, that kind of more we could talk about that, but that was big. And then in the meditation training, all pointing in the same direction to, knowing who you really are. And that sits alongside the training I've done with Jamie as well, very well. And yeah, so I got a lot out of it, Becky. And I thought, well, when the opportunity came to learn to teach others meditation, I think that's it fits nicely with my one-to-one transformational coaching that I do as well. I mean, not everybody wants the meditation, but sometimes people find it's useful to have something that they can do to know that they've got access to a settled, peaceful, still place. And when you combine that with an understanding of where our experience is coming from in the first place, it kind of gives it really adds to the overall shift that people get.
So in the time that I've known you, I've just watched you transform from someone that's pretty, normal sort of corporate worker, busy,
Normal.
To someone that's actually very chilled. And I love your Facebook posts, often when you're taking your dog for a walk and you sort of post about, the big blue sky and taking a calm moment. And it was beautiful to watch your journey as you really sort of dived into that experience for yourself and was sharing it with others. And for me, it was a real example of what, if you find the right tools for you, the right language, and you apply that learning, what an impact you can have on your life and other people.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of things have come together over the past year, because not only did I certify with the Mind Calm meditation as a Mind Calm meditation coach, certified as a clarity coach practitioner, and I think because of my past history, like I explained the story there before, if I'd known when I was 16 or younger what I now know, I mean, I've had a good life, so far, and hopefully that might continue. But I think I just wish I'd kind of known it back then. And so what I also do, and I'm passionate about, is teaching young people about their built-in mental resilience and well-being. And so I trained this year to be a facilitator for iHeart, which is a charity that teaches this to young people. And I mean, it's been taught to about 5,000 or more kids worldwide. A lot of that's been in schools, but obviously schools ain't open at the moment. So I've been teaching some private groups of young people and their parents, and it's very heartwarming to see the insights and realizations that young people and their parents are getting together in that, about their own natural inbuilt well-being that kind of gets covered up, but we explain how that does, and how they can get back to knowing that they've got this, and understand how their mind is working. So that all fits together to me with everything that I do. And you know, I'm trying to do myself out of business in a way, because I want to, if we can get the younger people to get this, then there won't be the adults who need coaching, if you know what I mean. So that's the big picture, really.
Because you're a parent yourself, aren't you? So you
Yeah.
know, like you've seen kids growing up in this generation of, you know, a lot of technology, a lot of access to online things, and I do think levels of anxiety are high.
Yes.
In our young.
Definitely. I was I, everyone I speak to, and I know quite a few people who work in schools. Everyone I speak to has shared that the amount of anxiety and stress and worry that's happening amongst younger people seems to be bigger than it ever was before. Obviously, we've got very unusual circumstances for everybody, which could be amplifying that. But even without that, I think there's increased pressure than there ever was, particularly because there's a lot of increased outside in forces distracting us or making us think that we need to look, be, or get, or have certain things in order to get what we're really looking for underneath it, which is to be happy, but to be peaceful and calm. And we're often looking in the wrong place. But I think, unfortunately, the way the world is, it's geared up to make you think that it's outside of you, that all of that comes. Not that those things aren't fun. I mean, you know, it could be great fun to have a Ferrari, but if you think it's going to make you happy, I'm not totally sure about that. But I think, yeah, that's why I'm keen to help younger people as well as adults as well. And yeah, I've got a son who's 23, great, he's doing really well. But I know that the pressures that our younger folks face with the world the way it is, and the decisions they need to make, and the uncertainties of that. So yeah, it's very rewarding to help everybody. But yeah, young kids, just because of the kind of journey I've been on.
Yeah, and you and I have a shared passion about helping guys as well, you know, embrace some of these you know, these founding principles, and we've had some good conversations about how can we help, you know, make it available to people. Because I think you told me a story about, was it the word snowflake or something like that? Someone said, you know, in response to the idea that people might want to learn meditation, and I just think that's really such a shame if there's this perception around that learning things like meditation or coaching techniques makes you less of a man, because I don't think that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem, well, with the problem with coaching and meditation and things is often people don't really know, or they've got a stereotype of what it is, or they don't really understand it so much, and can be quite quick to think it's something that it isn't. And I mean, the interesting thing is when I teach the mind calm meditation, Becky, it's not in the specific, you know, what you meant to teach this stuff, but I did a bit of research on who meditates, who does meditate, that we know. And there's all sorts of people that you know in the celebrity world, top business, captains of industry, top performers in their field, often have a meditation practice as part of what they do to help clear the mind. So it's not as unusual as it may seem, and it's certainly talked about by many successful people. So, but I think the other factor is that, and a lot of those, there's women and men in that mix, of course. But what I noticed, and I know this is what we discussed, is that in the training and in the classes I've been to with yourself, even, I mean, it is, there are more women than men. So far it seems involved with this, and it just kind of got me wondering. I wonder why there aren't an equal amount of men or more men. Is that men don't want this? Is that men want to have their own groups that might, you know, they don't want to be in mixed groups? Is it some stereotype about men that they feel they should be, you know, it's somehow seen as weak to want to do something like to look after yourself and explore that a bit more? I don't know, but, and if anybody's listening who's got any thoughts on that, who's a man, I'd love to know, why aren't you meditating or getting coached?
Or maybe you are getting, and you're one of those people that, you know, benefits from it, and maybe you can inspire others to to go down this path? Because obviously, if you're an athlete, you get coached. Business people often get coached. And
Yeah,
you're right, so many top performance sports people. I mean, you're a musician,
yeah,
and I'm sure anyone that plays anything at the top of their game
yeah.
gets some
Performance.
kind of mentoring, coaching, visualization, meditation, anything. And I remember my journey with it. I was at a workshop and people were saying, oh, I get up an hour early and I do an hour's meditation practice in the morning. I was like, why?
Yeah,
Because I had an idea of what meditation was. I tried it a very long time ago. It brought up all sorts of stuff for me. I didn't
yeah,
enjoy the experience. And so I just parked it and said, oh, that's not for me. So often we have an idea of something without actually ever having experienced it. And
yeah.
of course, until you've experienced it, you actually don't know what it can give you.
That's right. I mean, I've mentioned it sometimes to people and say, "Oh, you're not going to like, it's not sitting around in loincloths and flowing robes and stuff." Well, that's between me and that's behind closed doors, maybe. No, I'm not. I'm just, got sitting normally doing it. But that's good fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it doesn't appear that I've seen so far that men aren't doing that so much. But it's funny on coaching because I thought, often people don't know what coaching is. And I thought, what is coaching? So I looked up the definition of coaching. If you go right back to the definition of coaching, coach was a four-wheeled carriage, like a vehicle to move you somewhere. And coaching was to take someone in that carriage. And it got me thinking that it's probably quite a good explanation because it's somebody's in A, in position A, and they want to get to B. Well, you can work, you can make your own way there. You could walk or find your own route. But if you're not quite sure where B is, or you need some help in getting to B, you'd hire a coach back in the day, to get you there. And sometimes when you're in the coach, you'd think, actually, I think I might want to go somewhere different. Can you help me there? And that destination of B, where you're trying to get to, might be, I want to create something, not quite sure how. I've got a problem I want to resolve and I'm a bit stuck on getting over it, or I've got a change I'd like to make. So that destination, obviously, with the coaching that I do and you do, is not a physical place, but it's still a destination different from where the person is right now. So I quite like that metaphor, and it's quite funny that originally it was a means of getting from A to B effectively. So, and as you say, a lot of people in all walks of life and sports and top performers have coaches. I mean, obviously, it's most commonly associated with sport, isn't it? Football coach and stuff like that. So, but yeah, just I love helping people who are looking for help with that.
Yeah. So time to wrap this interview up, but just what would be your one thing that you would share, like based on your life experience that you've learned that might be useful to people inside the Peace Project?
I would say you're so much more than you think you are. And we're living in the feeling of our thoughts, which is often not what it seems. And those two things, I think, is what makes a big difference for me, and hopefully might be helped other people. It sounds simple, but even I fall into forgetting that and think, whoa, I got trapped again and I got mistaken again. I was in the illusion that it was somehow different again. But that's what I would share.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming into the Peace Project and talking with us today, Craig. I've really enjoyed hearing your backstory and learning a little bit about you. And yeah, thank you for sharing so openly and honestly.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I hope anybody who's watching this found it useful, and thanks ever so much for having me on as a guest. I've enjoyed it.
That's brilliant. Okay, and well, we'll sign off for now.
Okay, see you again soon.